breaking news from KHQA.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Phoenix O'Connor. First night, a barge traveling through Fort Madison sunk after striking a bridge near the marina. KHQA's Zach Richardson, he joins us live with more on the accident. Zach.
Yes, and crews behind me continue to work on a barge that is sank here in Fort Madison in the Mississippi River. This coming after the barge struck the train bridge here just past the marina. Now, crews have been out here from about 1:26 p.m. this afternoon. They did close off the bridge, shut down traffic to the bridge, train and cars, both alike, to check the structural. BNSF has been out working the scene. The U.S. Coast Guard has been out here working. They wanted to check and make sure the structure of the bridge was safe and make it safe for traffic to continue to travel through to and from Fort Madison. Now, like I said, we can see right behind me, crews are still out here working on this bridge. We did talk to some first responders who were called and talked about just the response time. Now, there were no injuries reported in this incident, which many first responders were very thankful for. But later on tonight at 6, we will hear more about what happened, what they believe caused this, and we'll also hear from Mr. Weber, the sheriff of Lee County, on what his response was to this incident. For now, let's go ahead and throw it back to you.
Crews are still on site in Fort Madison, Iowa, where a barge was sunk after striking a bridge. KHQA Zach Richardson, he is live on the scene with more details. Zach.
Yes, the first responders were called to the scene here in Fort Madison, Iowa, for a barge who had collided with the Fort Madison Railroad Bridge. Now, according to the U.S. Coast Guard, a tug with barges collided with that railroad bridge. They say no injuries were reported in the accident and no pollution was reported to the U.S. Coast Guard. Officials say the bridge was shut down to both vehicle and train traffic while crews from BNSF inspected the damage. The bridge reopened a short time after 4:30 as no significant damage was found. Now, officials say they're expecting crews to be working throughout the night to bring the barge back to surface. The Coast Guard says Marine Safety Detachment Quad Cities is investigating the incident. Now, coming up tonight at 10, we will hear from local law enforcement and local residents on what they're calling a very rare incident. In Fort Madison, Iowa, I'm Zach Richardson. Back to you.
After a barge collided with a bridge in Fort Madison, causing one barge to sink, it quickly became the talk of the town. KHQA's Zach Richardson spoke with some in the community to hear their reactions.
First thing was my dad called my mom. He said, check Facebook, and it was all over Facebook. All you had to put in was just, Fort Madison Bridge, and it was out there. It was crazy to see.
News of a barge sinking in Fort Madison quickly made its way around town. According to the U.S. Coast Guard, a tug with barges collided with the Fort Madison Railroad Bridge, causing them to detach from the tug and one barge sinking. The Coast Guard says no injuries or pollution were reported following the accident. Lee County Sheriff Stacy Weber says this was an unfortunate situation, but one that could have been much worse.
I think he contained it as much as possible, and nobody got hurt, so that's the main thing. We can fix all this other stuff.
Although there were no injuries, there were concerns about damage to the bridge. The bridge was shut down to all traffic to allow BNSF to assess for damage. Resident Derek Duncan says the traffic backup was overwhelming.
I don't know how far it went back there, but I saw how bad it was. Over there, I imagine it's pretty bad too, because a lot of people travel back and forth.
When first responders received the call at approximately 1:26 p.m., Sheriff Weber says all hands were on deck.
Everybody was scrambling. Fire department, city works, sheriff's department. We were on the phone with the Coast Guard, the emergency management. Everybody was on their toes heading this direction.
As crews continue to work on the scene, people flocked to the riverfront to see what they say was truly a rare sighting.
It's kind of something you don't see every day. That's why everyone's around here. They're just it's talk of the town right now.
The bridge reopened shortly after 4:30 p.m. after no damage was found on the bridge while crews continued to work on removing the barge from the water. Sheriff Weber says during a chaotic time, everyone came together to do their part.
Small town Iowa, man, when things happen, everybody comes together and they get stuff done. So the firemen are here second to none. The police department was here immediately. Of course, the sheriff's department's coming to support them all. We were getting ready to put our boat in the water to get it, whoever, wherever. But it's pretty amazing to work in this area. These guys all come together when it's time.
Reporting for KHQA News, Zach Richardson.
This is a developing story. Stay with us on the latest update and on the information both on air and online right here on KHQA.